Ministry right now. Our elementary students hang with us for worship and communion, and then they go over there with Miss Tammy and Mr. Aubrey and all the other volunteers in children's ministry. I'm kind of glad they're leaving right now because I got to do something at the beginning of this sermon that I don't really like to do as a pastor, but occasionally you have to. Occasionally you have to call a group of people down. Some people get out of line. They misbehave a little bit, and then as a pastor, you got to kind of say, "Hey, you got to stop doing that." Monday night, we had our seniors event here in this room, and I understand there was a little dancing in this room. And you know who you are. Okay, we didn't set up a dance floor, but apparently y'all made room for one. And I sent an email every Friday to our elders called the Friday Update, and I just tell them what's going on in the church. And this week I said, apparently there was a little dancing at the seniors event, and one of the elders sent back to me and said, "Correction, Russ, there was not a little dancing. There was a lot of dancing." Okay, so that's great. I'm glad y'all had a great time. I want to say thank you to Sherry. I don't see her in the room right now, but thank you to Sherry for organizing that event. Can we give her a round of applause? She does a fantastic job organizing that event, and it's a lot of room. And this is the first year that we've outgrown the beach room, and we had to move it in here. So we had at least, I think, 100 people show up to that thing. So that's incredible. Tammy did a great job. She's already left the room, but Tammy did a great job with our baby dedication last Sunday. And of course, up next is right here, Easter. We're 2 weeks away from Easter. So 8:15, 9:30, and 11. We're still looking for volunteers. All the information's in the emails and social media, so I won't go deep into that. Just the big thing we need to do right now is invite people to join us for Easter. People are more open to an invitation on Easter Sunday than probably any other time of the year. And so if you've got friends you've been thinking about inviting to church with you, this is the opportunity to do that. If you've got family you've been thinking about inviting with you, this is the opportunity to do that. So invite them to come and to join us on Easter Sunday. 8:15, that's our sunrise service. So those of you that like to get up early, we got you an early service this year, but 8:15, 9:30, and 11 o'clock. So let's have a big Easter together in a couple of weeks. Today we wrap this series up right here. So we've been talking about deconstruction in a series called Reconstruction, which is a little bit confusing, but the last 3 weeks we've focused on how do we reconstruct good faith? How do we reconstruct healthy faith? And we've said good faith is humble, good faith is loving, and today we're going to talk about the fact that good faith serves. Good faith serves others. And I want to start with a little story. I think most of you are aware that we have a school that meets here throughout the week. It's not our school. It's Heart Christian Academy is the name of it. They started meeting here at the beginning of this school year. It's a homeschool tutorial group. They meet Mondays and Wednesdays. They got 60 students, 9 teachers, and it's been a fantastic partnership. It's been a great partnership with that school. We were very hesitant about having another school meet here because we had a school before that met here. And kids do a lot of wear and tear on a building. We figured that out really fast when that other school met here. And so we stepped very cautiously and slowly into this partnership with Heart Academy, but they've been fantastic. I mean, they've been great. Lena Long is their director. They do an incredible job. And so I had a meeting set up with her about 2 weeks ago to talk about expansion plans because they had another 18 students enrolled for the next year, and we're going to need more classrooms, and we're going to have to move from the children's wing into the student wing. And so it was exciting. And I had a meeting set up on a Tuesday morning to talk about expansion plans. Well, before that meeting happened on Saturday, she texted me and said, "Things have changed. I need to talk to you sooner rather than later." And so I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And so we worked it out to meet after church on Sunday. And so she came. She goes to another church in town. So she came from her church, and we met in the cafe. And you could tell when she walked in that she was a little distraught. And she said, "I got word this weekend that they're closing our school." And they got 26 locations across the country, so it's a bigger organization. But she said, "They told me they're closing our school, and Wednesday's our last day." I haven't told the families, I haven't told the teachers, but Wednesday's the last day that Heart is going to support us financially, and we got to close the school. And I just started asking questions, which is, well, what are you feeling right now? What are you thinking? What are you doing? And pretty quickly in that conversation, she said, "My number one priority is saving the rest of this school year. My number one priority is making sure we get to the end of this school year. And I'll do whatever it takes to get to the end of the school year." And she said, "And then after that, I would love to create an organization and we got a community. We got the community. It's the Columbia community. Let's create an organization and let's keep this thing going. And so we just started working on step one. So we're like, well, let's start talking step one. And we started brainstorming. And in the next 30 minutes, we're like, okay, well, the church will reduce our rent. Like, we knocked it down by 80-something% to say, we'll just to cover the cleaning and the insurance, we'll take care of that. The biggest issue was they didn't have an organization, because the Fart Academy was the 501c3, but the church, we could pull it under the umbrella of the church. So this school could be like a ministry of the Murray Hills Church. So if we could pull it under the organizational structure of the church and figure out a way to set up all the systems, and you figure out a way to set up all your systems, then the teachers can continue to get paychecks through the end of the school year, the students can continue to attend school through the end of the school year, and parents can continue to support the school financially. So over that 30-minute time span, and we ended up having another meeting the next morning, and she kind of put together a pro forma and a business plan, and we started talking systems, and we talked to our insurance, and what does it take, how do we add teachers to our insurance, and all this kind of stuff. And we talked to our treasurer and got a new account set up and got Lena as a signatory on the account. So anyway, we got school. So we pulled that school underneath the ministry of the church. And it's not a school we're running. And I told Lena, I said, you tell your parents, we do not want to run a school. I do not want to run a school. I want you to run the school. I want your organization to run the school. I don't want to have any input into how you run the school. We just want to help give you the organizational structure to keep things going through the end of the school year. And that's exactly what happened. So she met with her folks. I met with my folks. We put together a plan, and we were ready to roll. And I love doing stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff that gets me fired up in ministry. Like, let's figure out, here's a problem, let's figure out how to solve it, let's come together, and let's make this happen. And I love doing stuff like that. Now, we did all of that Sunday and Monday. And Lena did most of the heavy lifting. I just mostly asked questions, and she would say, let me get some numbers and come back and all that kind of stuff. So we did all that Sunday, Monday. And then Monday night, we had our elders meeting, and I was preparing the agenda, and I thought, they might want to know about this. Before I committed to Lena, I might should have took it to the elders and say, hey, what do y'all think about this? So I put it on the agenda for the elders, and you know what our elders said? It was about a 5-minute conversation, and it was, do whatever it takes to help them. Just do whatever it takes to help them. Make it happen. Make sure we got our proper insurance, and you got all the proper systems in place, and make sure you're checking all your boxes and, crossing T's and dotting I's, but do whatever it takes to help them. And I love serving at a church like that. I love serving under a leadership like that wants to make a difference in our community, that gets creative about solving problems, and that puts others first. That's the kind of church that I want to be a part of. I love that about Murray Hills, is because good faith serves. Good faith puts other needs before our own needs. Good faith tries to make a difference in the community. And the reason we do that, our tagline is for Jesus, for the city. We're for the city because we're for Jesus. Because Jesus was for the city. And that's just another way of saying serve others. Make a difference in the community in which you live. And in Matthew chapter 20, Jesus taught this. And I want to share this real quick and then share another way that we're doing this. But in Matthew chapter 20, the mother of James and John came to Jesus. And he said, what is it you want, he asked. And she said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. So what she came to Jesus with was a request for position and power. She wanted the Messiah to give her position and power to her sons. And Jesus said, you don't know what you're asking. He said, can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? And we can, they answered. So James and John, it wasn't just mom's idea. James and John were in on it too. And then Jesus replied, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right and left is not, hit it too quick, is not for me to grant. These places belong to those who have been prepared by my Father. And when the 10 heard about this is my favorite line in the whole story right here. When the other 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. The reason it's my favorite line is because I don't think they were mad because they asked it. I think they were mad because they thought of it first. Like, I think all of them wanted position and power. And I think they got mad because James and John, I can't believe that. They thought of it first because they're like, we've been serving Jesus as long as they have. Because they're expecting this Messiah to come in and assume control. And this Messiah is going to come in and sacrifice. This Messiah is going to come in as a servant. And they're not expecting that. So Jesus flips their whole world upside down with these next few verses. He says, he called them together. When they were mad, he called them together and he said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. But not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So the reason Jesus came is to serve. And as followers of Jesus, the reason we are here is to serve. And I think about this a lot as a church. Like, why are we needed in this community? Why do we have a church? And people go, well, it's evangelism. Yeah, we can do evangelism person to person, face to face, house to house. Well, it's worship. I love worshiping together with the church. I do too. But we don't have to have a church to worship. I mean, we can worship together in our homes. We can worship together in our small groups. I mean, I get that. To me, it all comes down to finding practical and real ways to love your neighbor as yourself, which is equipping and encouraging people to serve others and equipping and encouraging people to meet needs in the community. And that's the thing that gets me excited as a church. That's why I want to see this church continue to grow, not so that we can have more numbers and not so we can say, look at us compared to the church down the street. It's so that we can have more people, more resources, more money, more ideas to solve real world problems in our community. We got members right now that are trying to figure out how to solve homelessness in Murray County. I had lunch with one of them last week. It's not a ministry of this church. They're involved in ministries in this town. How do we help homeless in Murray County? We got members in this church right now that are trying to help counsel people who are caught up in the debt trap of payday lending. We got folks trying to figure out how to build churches in Belize and trying to figure out how to educate kids in Belize. And when I start thinking about the organizations we're involved with, like Pay Grace Forward and the Columbia Peace and Justice Initiative and Family Center and Harvest Share and Brown Elementary and all these different organizations that we are involved with trying to make a difference, I'm like, that's what church is about. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We got to be the hands and feet of Jesus. I laid one more opportunity before you at the end of last year that was related to recovery ministry. And I think you know that we're losing a generation, and it's hitting small towns, it's hitting rural areas, it's hitting our part of the country just as hard as it's hitting anywhere. We're losing a generation to drugs and alcohol, to addiction, to the opioid crisis. I was in a Murray Alliance meeting and heard the city manager say we had over 100 incidences of Narcan use among first responders in the city of Columbia. It's more than 2 a week. That's more than two people a week that are dead without Narcan. And that's a temporary help. That physically brings them back to life. It doesn't spiritually bring them back to life. And so we laid a vision before the church at the end of last year. Let's raise an insane amount of money to build a Christ-centered recovery center, residential recovery center, in Murray County. And this church rose up and met that need. And it wasn't just let's raise a bunch of money and hand them a check and say, good luck. Like in James 2, we wish you well, good luck. Hope this goes well for you. I hope you do well. It's more than money. We said we'll partner with you. We will come into the home. Our members will be mentors. Our members will help disciple people. Our members will help do Bible studies. And we will welcome you and your families into our fellowship, because that's where life change happens. When we will welcome you and your families into this, because you're not addicts. You're our brothers. You're our dads. You're our sons. You're our nephews. I mean, there's not a family in here that's not affected by addiction. So I've got our executive director here today, and I've got our recovery coordinator here today. And they're going to give you just a little update and talk about how you can get involved. But before they walk up on stage, I'd like you to know what Hope Center does. And the best way for you to know what Hope Center does, the best way for you to know how it serves, is to see a video of this. So Andy, if you could cue that up, I'll go ahead and fire it. I know I skipped some verses. I was trying to give them some time. Watch this.
When I turned about 13 years old, that's when I took my first drink, smoked my first joint. And I think that's basically when it was off to the races for me. I got that taste. I can remember when I was 15, I caught my first charge. I got caught stealing a car. I went to juvenile, got put on some probation. I passed that probation, but shortly after, they found a gun in my locker, some more drugs in my locker, and they expelled me from school. I then never went back to school. Moved out when I was 16, got my first apartment with a couple buddies. I started selling drugs. Definitely what comes along with selling drugs is using those drugs. Parties, women, just the whole high life, man, the fast life. Getting high was my life. Getting high is what I loved. Everything else came next. I didn't love myself. I didn't love nobody else. I loved them drugs and that alcohol. I then got tired of that life and called my father. He sent me a Greyhound bus ticket to come home back to Nashville, Tennessee. So I took that opportunity. I came back home, I got cleaned up, I sobered up. I met my fiance. I got blessed with the best gift that I could ever be given, and that was my daughter, Piper Louise. But obviously it still wasn't enough for me to stay sober. I went back out into addiction pretty heavy, and this time I died. I woke up in the hospital on a bed of ice. I was so cold, it was so cold, man, it burned. It was like a fire burn. I didn't know where I was. They were asking me who the president was. I didn't know what was going on. The lights were bright. I was scared to death, man. The actual doctor, I guess the main doctor, I remember him coming up to me, and he handed me my bag of clothes and said, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to wear these out because they're cut. We had to cut them off of you. And right after he said that, he got emotional, man. He broke down. He started crying, you know. He grabbed me by the shoulders and brought me close, man. And he said, son, you got any kids? I said, yes, sir, I do. I've got a daughter, she's 2. He said, man, I have a son, he's your age, was your age. He wasn't so fortunate, he wasn't lucky. He overdosed, he's died, and he's not here with us anymore. You were 35 seconds away from being a vegetable for the rest of your life. If not for her, do it for yourself. That day, something impacted me. I went home. I didn't know what to do that day, man. I was just kind of lost. I was confused. I was broken. I was hopeless. I didn't know where to turn to. You know, hadn't seen my daughter in 2 years. I didn't want to live anymore, man. I contemplated suicide time and time again. I felt like it was my only way out, you know. But then again, every time that thought came to my mind, so did my daughter. She came in right behind it. And that's what gave me that strength and that hope to keep putting my one foot in front of the other, man. I remember coming to the Hope Center and one of my brothers looking at me and saying, hey, man, I love you. And I thought in my head, man, how do you love me? I don't even love myself. And not even 2 months later, that same brother looking at me and saying, hey, man, I love you. And me looking back at him, giving each other an 8-second hug and saying, man, I love you too, and meaning it. When I surrendered my life to God and said, please help me, I can't do this on my own, that was the pivotal point for me. It was easier than I had ever imagined. I always thought that I had to be this, walk this certain walk or do, you know, this thing that just wasn't even real. My thoughts just consumed me with lies and fear. You know, fear is a liar, and it definitely tricked me. But when I turned my will over to God, life just got better, man. It wasn't no matter of time before I started seeing his many blessings, seeing him work in my life, restore my relationships. I had my family back. And that right there is a miracle, because I know at one point in time I just never thought it was possible to ever see them again. Piper Louise is my daughter. She's Daddy's little girl. She's my best friend. She is she's what keeps me going, man. Just the other day, she looked at me and she said, "Daddy, I love you." And I told her, "I love you too, baby. Who else loves you?" She said, "Jesus. Jesus loves me." And to be able to share God and have a Jesus talk with my daughter, and it just does something to my heart that is just, I can't even put into words. I wish I was taught that when I was a kid, but unfortunately I wasn't. And that's okay too, because I'm taught it now. The Hope Center taught me that. And God, man, he's never left my side. And my daughter, she knows who God is and she knows who Jesus is. And there's no better feeling than that. She's almost 5, going on 12. And I'm just so grateful to have her back in my life, because without the Hope Center, without God, and a little bit of willingness for me, it never would have happened.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do. We want to change lives like that, and change futures like that, and change family trees like that. Maybe 3 reactions to seeing a video like that. In a room of this size, there's some people that are still experiencing the trauma of addiction that have been on the other side of it. And that's real. I mean, those emotions are real, and that's raw, and it's real trauma. And it's okay to have mixed feelings about our church getting involved in this, because I know some of you are like, I don't know how I feel about it, because I've been hurt so bad by somebody that was addicted. We want to help. We got a ton of counselors at this church, and I'm willing to help pay for sessions if you would go somebody. So if you just reach out, just send me an email and say, "Hey, who would you recommend?" I'm willing to help. This church is willing to help pay for that. The other thing is, you don't have to get involved in Hope Center. You can get involved at your own speed and at your own pace. So it's just going to be one of the ministries of this church, not the only ministry. So if you want to continue to be involved in other ministries, that's fine. Number 2, in a room of this size, I guarantee you there's somebody who loves somebody who is addicted right now, and you don't know how to help them. Hope Center can help. And we got a table set up in the back, and we got folks that will be back there after it's over to just to go back and say, how do I get my brother in this, or how do I get my nephew or my son or my cousin, or I got this good friend, how do I get them in there? What does it take? What does it look like? And they'll step you through that process. The third way is, I think in a room of this size, I hope we got dozens and dozens of people that are saying, "Sign me up for that. I want to be a mentor. I want to help disciple these men. I want to help study the Bible with these men. I want to help these men learn how to follow Jesus. I want to help prepare meals for them. I want to help drive them to doctor's appointments. I want to help remodel the home." Whatever your gifts and talents are, there's tons of opportunities to get involved. And that's what I want Ryan and Jesse to talk about. So I want you to welcome these 2 men to the stage. This is Ryan McNeil. He's our executive director for the Columbia Hope Center. And this is Jesse Davis, and he's our recovery coordinator for the Columbia Hope Center. Welcome, guys. There you go. The floor is yours, Ryan.
I just want to thank everyone in here today for welcoming me and my family into y'all's congregation. We're excited to be here. My story isn't much different from Jason's. I thought for the longest time that that there was no hope, that I had no chance at a good life. And Hope Center, God used the Hope Center to radically change my life. Here at the Hope Center, we believe the only way to find lasting freedom from drugs and alcohol is through the love of Christ. Today, we want to offer you the opportunity to extend that same love to other people within your community. We're going to have this table set up, as he mentioned, and I want Jesse to talk to you about it.
Thanks, Ryan. So, Scott, is Scott in here? The praise?
He's in the back.
He's in the back. Okay, good. Scott, I just want to thank you if you can hear me, man. That was great. The words he put out there. There's a lot in what he said, right? Russ, thank you for everything you mentioned. You made my job up here today so much easier. I don't have to do as much, right? So thank you for that, because this is not my scene right here, right? The table, yes. At the center, yes. Up here, not so much. But I do want to mention something real quick. So 3745. Anybody got to guess what that number is? Anybody? No? That's how many people died of addiction this year in the state of Tennessee, this past year. 3745. Think about that number, right? And we're touching a base, a little small percentage of that we're able to do. And that's with all the resources. That's with all the communities. That's with all the volunteers and funds that we have. And that's just a small piece. It takes so much more, so much more. And I know what said Luke. I don't exactly remember exactly where in Luke, but the harvest is plentiful, but the labors are few, right? Don't let that overwhelm you as far as, I'm not qualified, I can't do these things. Well, we can do all things in Christ, right? And also, I think 2 Corinthians 12 is, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And we have many, right? But I guarantee you that fellow right there probably has 2 or 3 strengths that I don't. And I have 2 or 3 that he don't. But we come together and we build each other up, right? Iron sharpens iron. So I appreciate your time allowing us to be here to share fellowship, to share, to be in the flock with you. My family, my beautiful wife has been through this road with me. And my mother and father have seen me come, be restored, have a relationship with Christ that, man, it's on. And we just want to be able to provide that to this community. If you don't know, I was born in Columbia and raised in Columbia until about middle school. But I did all my partying, did all my dirt, hung out on the streets, sold drugs, did drugs here in Columbia. So I helped create this problem, or I definitely was a problem to the problem. And I just want to be here and be in the community. And if you want to talk, if you want to offer anything you have, don't think that it's not enough. It will help someone in whatever way that God so chooses. So I just want to thank you for your time. I love you guys. I will be back here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. The more I learn about this, the more opportunities are there. Because I was one of those guys, the first time, a couple times we met, I was like, you know what? I can help, like, trying to figure out property or trying to put together business plans or strategies. Like, that's my skill set. I can help that, but I don't know that I can help a man who's in addiction. And I don't know that I can be a mentor because I've never been in addiction, so I'm not sure I could do that. And they were saying, we're not asking you to be their counselor. We're asking you to be their friend. We're not asking you to come and fix them. We're just asking you to come spend a couple hours. It's like some of the mentors take guys out to check deer cameras. Come with me, we'll go out to check deer cameras for a couple hours. Come with me, we'll go fishing a couple hours. Come with me, we'll go out and have a steak. It's just spending time with these men, putting them around godly influences. So if you're interested in that, if you're willing to sign up for something like that, go back there. They've got a sign-up sheet. And just sign it up. We're going to have an interest meeting the Sunday after Easter. And so these guys will be back. They're going to be a part of our church family. And so they're going to be back, and we'll have a big interest meeting for everybody to sit and talk, how you can help. But there's all kinds of ways to help. There's the more involved you get in this, they're changing lives. And I've seen them change the lives of a lot of young men in Hornwald. There's a young man at this church that one day is going to stand on this stage and offer his testimony because his life's being changed right now. He's about 6-7 months in and doing incredible. So there's opportunity back there to sign up. We do have a location. It's in Murray County. Well, it's in Hampshire community, and it's rural, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and that's the best setting for what we're trying to do. There's a little bit of opposition to it. I'll just be completely transparent and honest with you. Everybody wants to help folks in recovery, but nobody wants to do it in their backyard. And so that happens every time they open a center. So we're aware of that. We're trying to step gracefully through that and lovingly through that, and we want to win the hearts and minds of people that we're here to help people, and we're here to serve people, and that's what these guys are doing. So there is a location. Those guys are full-time employees of the Columbia Hope Center now, and we were thinking maybe the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year, we'd be ready to open. We're probably going to be open by the summer. So we're gonna have men in the summer. He's already got his first vocational contract, which is they partner. A big part of the program is partnering with local companies where the guys work, and they pay for their own recovery during that 8-month time period. And they also learn how to get in a routine and how to be responsible, and they're earning, the income and paying their own way through recovery. It's a really incredible program. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I want to close us with a word of prayer. I do need to put, Andy, you mind putting the offering information up there? It's terrible how often I forget our offering. Always, like Monday morning, I'm like, we got to pay for this stuff. So there's the offering information. That's if you want to give electronically right now, that's the way to set that up. The more of you that can get on recurring giving, it doesn't matter if I forget to mention the offering, but that's the information. Let me say a word of prayer over these men and over this center, and I hope y'all will go flood that table. And you're not going to get out of here quick. You can sit in the parking lot waiting to get out. Or you can go back there and talk for 20 minutes, and then you'll get out quick. Okay, so that's go back there and talk. So I've tried my hardest on traffic too. I can't. It's an unsolvable problem right now, but I'm still working on it. All right, let's pray. Father, I want to thank you for the work that you've done through the Hope Center. And I know that it's happening across this country, and it's happening throughout Tennessee, and it's happening in my hometown. And I'm very thankful for the young men's lives and the young women's lives who've been changed through the Hope Center and through them introducing their residents, introducing them to you and your son Jesus. And I'm thankful for that man that just gave his testimony on the video and the fact that he's changed his daughter's life forever. And I just kept thinking about, she got a new daddy now, and I'm thankful for that. Father, I pray that you will raise up an army of volunteers through this church that will help support these men in their journey and just put us in the reconciliation and the redemption business, because that's the business that you're in. You're in the resurrection business, as we're getting ready to celebrate in a couple of Sundays. And I just pray you keep resurrecting lives and keep changing lives and help us to be the vessels through which you could do that here in our community. And I pray all this in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen. One thing I didn't mention in the prayer, I know that's the close to end. This is not just a Murray Hills project. If you got friends in other churches, we're going to need as many other churches as possible to participate with us. So this is not just Murray Hills. We need volunteers from all churches. So you guys have a great rest of the day. Next Sunday, my Uncle Jimmy is preaching. I will be here, but you'll learn where if you think I got preaching skills, you'll learn where I got them from. If you don't, then I don't want to put Jimmy on the spot.